Good evening, everybody. Love and Enlightenment family, friends, YouTube.
Evening blessings and salutations.
Good
Good
evening,
evening,
all.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Um, Again, I would like to thank everybody in our Love and Enlightenment group for all their. We've been getting a lot of posts. Um, so I want to thank you all again. Just reminding everybody, we are trying to be a community that uplifts. So keep that in mind. But of course, we want to keep everybody engaged. But I want to thank everybody for all their involvement and all their posts, even the little crazy racy ones. So tonight, I want to thank our guests for coming back once again. Kiora. Kiora's on the island of St. Croix. And Ronchi on the island of St. Martin. Sorry for giving out the government name. As we discuss and have the conversation with the millennials. And we have Lucian back with us tonight.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
The art is back in action.
Exactly. So, Trina, well, actually, somebody said, I didn't see who it was. Somebody said good evening. So, for everybody who signed in so far.
Cece, good evening, Cece. Good evening, Nicole.
Oh, what's up,
Good
Nicole?
evening, Nicole. Good evening, Cece.
The day ones.
Yep. Thank you all again. Trina, you want to start the convo from where we picked up last week?
Well, last week, Ryan, Ryan, you don't remember, but you said that we have to do the exploration thing. Come on. You know, we ended at exploration and we ended it on you. So just excited to hear what you have to say about exploration.
I think we gotta dive back into that now because I can't remember that full 100.
Well,
so we were talking about relationships, right? And you said that's why people have to explore their options by exploring many relationships. I'm assuming that's what you were saying. Debbie said, explore yourself, because Debbie is a positive thinker. You know,
Wow.
so
Maybe it's a little bit of both.
But anyway, go ahead, Trina.
You know, that be positive, right? Like, you know, see the bright side of everything. So what did you mean by exploration, Ranchi?
It meant by, because we were discussing the young folks, right?
Yeah. Well, we were kind of starting to segue into the conversation about hookups.
Okay. Well, it was that you have to know one true self. You have to explore your options. You can't just, at a young age, tie yourself down because you truly don't know what it is you like and what you don't like. So it was just a basic don't tie the knot at 16 or 19 because Granny said back in the days that's how it was. I mean, we're in a new time, so you have to look at it more as find out about yourself. You know yourself, know what you like, know what your dislikes are, and move forward from there. I think that was like.
Okay, so are you saying then that in terms of the millennials that kind of, you know, back in the day, people met your high school first love, you get married, whatever, young. So you're saying that you as well as your friends are realizing that at this time you don't know yourself, and so you really have to explore options, get to know life.
Correct. Also, you have to gain experience. You have a lot of times where you might get with somebody and a lot of things that you want to try, the person not interested in. So
when you say experience, what are we talking about, Ranchi?
Sorry?
When you say experience, what are we talking about?
What do you think we're talking about? We're talking about hookups in there.
Really, Trina?
We were talking about a hookups in there. So, yeah, like, that's what it is. You have to explore, man. You want to find out about yourself. You want to find out about what you're capable of, what you're into, what you're not into, you know. So if you put up with somebody at a young age and you tie yourself down with this person and not knowing truly who you are, what you like, and now you put up into somebody that ain't even want to explore with you, you know, have a trouble, you know, have a problem. That's a bottleneck in a relationship because
Makes
there's no more growth.
makes sense.
Yeah, and
Makes
nobody
sense.
doing the same thing for 60 years. Can you tired or not? You're going forever. Imagine going forever and you didn't get to do nothing.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly. So there he
Um,
is.
how about you, Kiora?
I mean, I agree with what he's saying that you should definitely fish around and see your options. I think the part about learning yourself, you don't necessarily have to do that with somebody else. I think not tying yourself to someone until you learn about yourself is more so an internal thing. Like you need to spend time with yourself and alone to learn more about yourself.
Correct.
Yes,
This
So,
you can
one,
spend time with other people to see what you don't like
so,
about other people, but you can't learn about yourself with other people.
are we talking about learning about yourself sexually or just learning about yourself mentally?
I was talking mentally.
I don't
Mentally.
think Ranchi was talking mentally though. Ranchi, were
Oh,
you talking
there you go.
about?
There you go.
we
Is
was discussing hookups. If we
That's
talking
true.
hookups, I'm actually thinking like the
so
not the
so you say you
spiritual.
should explore self-love before getting into anything
I
serious.
mean,
That's
you're
that's
doing
what
self,
you
you know, from time you hit your adolescence and them thing when you start to grow hairs and things in certain places, you start to touch yourself. Well, for young fellas, for sure, you pick up a magazine. I mean to say we read about this thing all the time.
okay.
That's me
Okay,
exploring yourself.
my niece see the show
Millennials
and
still
she
do magazines. I mean, isn't that kind of outdated? Y'all still do magazines?
I mean
I
to
guess
say,
use the
I just
internet now.
I try to
Go
gather
internet.
everything for the older
Yeah, they
folks.
go on the internet.
You get fast
Yeah,
forward. Like I mean,
we got the
magazines.
internet now, man. We got Google and WhatsApp. WhatsApp has everything on it. Just join a group chat.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. And that was kind of what we were delving into. Do you all think the hookup culture means something different for women versus men in your because for me to me even having this discussion, this is something that was more has been more acceptable of course for men versus women in my time. For you guys, do you see that there's a difference in the meaning of hookup and if it's more accepted for women and men in your generation
but Debbie,
or
we didn't get the adult perspective and the exploration. We didn't get Louis
oh,
and Lucian perspective.
in
I
I,
think
terms
I,
of
that
I have absolutely no problem with that. Enough said.
That's it?
so.
Okay.
Drops the mic.
When I was younger, you know, what I'm saying, I think that this was my sexual education. I'm just gonna put it out there. It was a Kama Sutra book, which came in very handy, by the way, very very handy, and a Hustler magazine, and that was pretty much that was your sexual education. There you go, buddy. But the
That's
whole
it.
thing about it is like, I mean, you have to know yourself before you can say, and then when you do get married early, a lot of people who get married early, they don't know how to deal with relationships yet. So that's why they, the fighting, the arguing, you know, the overall bad behavior um, happens because you have not matured enough to learn how to deal with those situations. So I do agree with Ranchi about like dating around, and also I agree with Kiora about learning yourself before you get like really serious. Because once you know about yourself and you can love yourself, then you can love somebody else the right way. That's how I
uh,
see it.
let me interject. Dr. Williams, who we know has been married 42 years,
Doc,
said, what about the myriad of cultures that still practice arranged marriages that actually do work?
I mean, that's for day.
I mean,
But you know what?
I was about to say it works for them in their culture.
Yeah,
But you know what?
Definitely. Is it accepted here for that to
absolutely
transcend into
not.
our culture? I don't know if that's going to work.
But
Absolutely not.
let we not forget that divorce is over 50%. So do our practices work?
So in other words, try something different.
Maybe. I mean, and it
But the
isn't
divorce rate
insanity
ain't
doing the
because of.
same thing but expecting a different result? Didn't you lecture me about that yesterday, Debbie? That the saying?
But the
Yeah.
divorce
So
rate
so in other words, what
I
Pinky
think
is saying
we
is
just a whole bunch of crazos over in this
so Pinky,
culture.
all these people are getting married over and over again. They're just going through this cycle that's
But
nothing's going to change. That's what's happening.
yeah, but no, but I think too, we have to also take into account if you are raised in a family with a culture that this is what's accepted, this is what's taught, this is what you do. Your mindset is very different than you come from something else and come into that. That's number one. Number two, and I think it's for both sexes. Number two, if you are in that culture and it's you come together and you're going to make this work for life, then I'm sure the conversations about how you prepare yourself for that marriage and in that marriage is also very different. So like when Ranchi was saying, um, um, about exploration and being open in those cultures, it might be the conversation that the older women and the men are having, that conversation that you have to learn and grow with this person. So again, I think it's sort of like if you grow up in that culture, there's a lot of things that probably come along with that make them appear to be more successful. Staying together for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that it is
Also with those,
but
also with those cultures, divorce don't exist.
that's exactly.
So
So if you're
family
unhappy, you still have to figure out a way to
to deal
stick
with
it
it.
out.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think to decide the their way is wrong and our way is better is insanity, to be quite frank, because at the end of the day, we suffering over here too. Like
Right.
our marriages ain't nobody writing no books on them. Like we all famous for having successful marriages. That's number one. So I don't see what make us the authority on it. That's
Well,
number one.
I don't think it's a right or wrong, Pinky. But I mean, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know, and it's just I think it's a trial and error situation. You try, you know, what I mean, you try and see, but for them, they don't have a choice. They're actually bred into this. This is what they know growing up. You know what I mean? So that starts at a very young age. Well, I wanted to touch on that thing about the pornography thing, what Lucian and Ranchi was talking about, learning about sex, and like Ranchi mentioned, magazines in our day and age, magazines was the way we learned. We didn't have the internet, so
Correct.
seeing the Playboys and the Penthouse magazines and like Lucian said, the hustle, all that stuff is what we had. I remember in high school,
Robert
we
said,
had.
"I dating your man. Don't talk about the magazine. Say
Man,
dating."
listen, I done dated so long, but definitely, I had friends in school. We used to bring magazines to school. Everybody shared. Oh yeah, you know, kiki kaka, you know. So it was definitely a vibe growing up, you know. But now we live in an information ready, like Pinky like to say, the microwave world. Microwave ready what Pinky like to say. You know what I mean? And that's what's going on.
Yeah, the access to it. But going back
Access.
again to do you all think that the hookup culture means something different in your generation for men and for women?
No, because it takes two.
I know that, but what I'm saying is it more acceptable in their generation versus when we were growing up?
Oh,
I
wait.
do
Like,
believe
is
so.
there a difference in genders and how you view
I
if
think
you decide that you're going to be a part of the hookup culture?
I think that women are a little bit more, you know, willing and
Open.
able in their
Yeah.
generation.
You mean now than before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Women
Yeah.
are more free up with it because the boundaries and the discrimination of it left. Are gone left. So right now you don't get discriminated for doing it. You might actually get a high five. Like, yeah, you do that. Okay, woo, leave out it. You know, so
Yeah, you might get discriminated for not doing it.
for not doing it,
Basically what you're
exactly.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah. So the times are
like
different
like were
because
you there? You left. You there in the dark ages. You gotta get up with the times. Is that what it is?
exactly.
Wow.
I know back in our days the girls couldn't do that. Everybody got a whole long foot, learn how to wash,
It's
cook, eat. take care of the man, do this and do that, hang on tight, even if he blows in you or whatever, you got to stay there for your man and your family and da da da. Nah, today different. Today the man say he going out and you tell him no, he's still gone, you break up. So times different.
But okay, Kira, your view?
I think, gender roles really is what plays a big part of that. Women, yes, they're still seen a certain way, but a lot of what they do or it's more acceptable, kind of, in a sense.
Mhm.
I don't think men nowadays really look at, oh, well, she was messing with whomever as a big part of whether or not they're going to date this individual. You know, the conversation about, well, how many guys have you been with? That's not really a conversation that happens nowadays. Like, I've never been asked that. And that seems like something that guys used to ask a lot.
Wow.
And so I think hookup culture is, yeah, definitely something that is happening now. I saw somebody put in the chat that, you know, it's not personal, it's just a hit and run. There's nothing to do it. There's nothing to it but to do it. And I mean, that's really what hookup culture
I have
is.
a question. I have a question.
Wow.
How do you make the connection to even get the hookup? Like, where do you meet? How do you see these people? Where does it start?
Social media.
Tinder, right? Tinder in one of the places people are finding
But
people.
is no
Yeah,
longer like going out somewhere. It's no longer going to a bar, a club, or something. That does that happen in that environment also?
That still happens. For me to say you're still gonna go for a drinking, you might see somebody you like to see or something, you're still gonna start a conversation.
But
But
primarily social media. That's it.
social media helps it.
That's the new hookup.
Yeah, it's more of an insight to who the person is before you actually get in look to even speak to that person. You can actually have an insight to who the person is. I could check your pictures. I could see where you like to line. I could see how you stay. If you like to if you're flashy or you're more quiet and calm, just like based off of your profile, your profile, you could read up on those things. You could.
Lucian cracking up over that stuff.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, but Robert just made a comment.
Really, let's just
I'm not going to go
bypass
into
that.
it. I'm not going into it, but I'm just saying Robert made a comment. So that's what the laughing is about. But anyway,
I just read it.
Yes, dude.
Robert, what's going on? How you doing, Robert?
no, but listen, but
Oh my
Ryan,
God.
Ranji, the question also, okay, so your access to them, of course, and to everybody is easier because of social media, and for those who do the online dating, right? But
Right.
how, I think Louis' question is more, so how do you have the conversation with someone if you decide, like, how are these
Exactly.
conversations happening that you just
Exactly.
say, hey, I just want to,
What is that language like? You just come out and say it? Is it a
Yeah,
code?
what would that language look like from both perspectives?
Most
That-
definitely, Pinky. Thanks for that.
That language look like, if you could look in the comments, you could see what it look like. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? I find you attractive. I find you look good. Hey, what you saying? Let me go hit a drink. Let me go get, it's the same conversations you're having by mouth. You just typing it.
I think
Somebody
it's,
do Netflix and chill.
I was just about to mention that. So that's
Netflix and chill.
I was about to mention the Netflix and chill. So that's like, because I said Netflix and chill. So am I saying like hooking up? Is that what it is? Is that
Yeah, that's like a. That's,
I don't be hooking up.
on
like
urban,
a-
urban
you got like 2
dictionary,
meaning.
and chill
It
is
actually like Netflix and chill, or it could be like Netflix and chill.
Ah.
Yeah.
So that's a terminology, Netflix and
after
chill.
it, then it's the other one.
What I
What's that, Kira?
If they put the looking eyes after they say Netflix and chill, the big eyes, then you know it's a hookup.
wow.
I got to take notes.
No, but
I got to take notes.
You're
Because
not a
I want to make sure.
millennial.
I want to make sure when I use the eyes,
Big
like I
eyes?
use it, like I don't use it in the wrong context. You know what I mean?
That might.
Oh, wait. You see what Rihanna wrote? Rihanna said you usually ask, what are you looking for? And
Exactly.
the answer it says a lot.
Oh, so that's where the emojis come in, the eggplant and the cat?
Yeah, I mean to say, but you saying alone, you
The
know what
water,
it means.
Louis, the water.
And
The water, you know what the water means?
Yeah, nobody water.
Now, in the fight was.
And then the tongue. The tongue means something too, right?
Oh
The tongue
my
means the tongue.
God.
Way to do your tongue.
Remember
Okay.
we're on Facebook?
Okay now.
They like to
Okay
shut
now.
people down.
You're talking about water and tongue, the Facebooking, you know what I mean? Like,
I
I
never know.
but I don't know what it means. So just, I don't know what it means. So
Okay,
That's
Trina.
a conversation for a different day.
We'll have that conversation after the show.
Air.
Yeah.
Off air.
okay. So let me ask you this question, Ranchi. So you're saying is exploration the same as hookup, or is it two different things? Because exploration means you try with is it two different things, or is it the same?
thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It just depends on how far you go with it.
Right.
If you find somebody you're comfortable with, why you gonna end it after a week after talking? Or why would you end it after one sexual experience and you and the person have a good thing going? You're gonna hold on.
But what about that individual that you have that it's solely just for the hookup? Like there's an understanding that anytime I text you, we know that's what it is about, and that's it. Keep it moving.
That's a conversation you and that person gotta have.
What's that?
That's a conversation you and that person have to have.
And then like of course, like we always said that. I remember Pinky talked about in one of our earlier shows where again the emotions start to get developed. How do you handle that? I guess it goes back to that same conversation thing. Guys,
So we didn't hear Kiora thing on that. So yeah.
I think, well, the initial conversation should go, are we here for a fun time or are we here for a long time? And to avoid the whole emotion thing, if we have an agreement that we're here for a fun time.
Repeat that. I got right. That if we're here for what?
Fun time or
You are not a
time.
millennial. Anyhow,
Let me put that to my phone.
If you say that to our generation, we gonna know what you're talking about. So you gotta change your language.
I might get blocked. They might block my number.
But I mean, if you're not trying to catch emotions or feelings for this person, then you wouldn't have the conversations that would lead to emotions. Like the discussion that we would have would strictly be to hook up, not, hey, how are you doing? No, because you don't really care.
Yeah, you don't care if they had breakfast this morning.
Wow. But let me ask you a question. Is this like really prevalent in your generation? Like,
I mean, it's in our generation. I would say it's in our time or no. Whereas the older generation and the younger generation and our generation actually mixing and doing the same thing.
True.
Yeah, I don't think it's just their generation. I think our generation.
I think it's the time.
Definitely not just the younger generation.
Yeah, that's true.
So what is it after the event? What does that look like when you, like, let's say there's like a night together? How does that look like the next morning? Okay, thanks.
It all look different for different people.
I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm curious. I want to hear their perspective.
I probably go to work and go to school maybe.
That's, I mean,
and then you don't think about it again. You just forget all about it
until the next time.
No, I mean to say if
you're not trying to catch feelings, if this is a hookup, yeah. If this is somebody I'm trying to get to know, then I talk to you the next day. If this is strictly a hookup and we have that understanding, then
exactly, we have nothing to talk about.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean to say at the same time, you're going to do it with somebody you really dislike. So at the same time, you're gonna have a conversation about it. Whereas, hey, last night
someone said, I'm reading. It says you're not there the next morning, and
exactly.
Then
like you don't.
There's no more. There's no more walk of shame. You guys, no, I don't know about the walk of shame.
That's my child that put you in there the next morning, and then my niece gang go put down there. But how nowadays you take flight, not feelings. Period.
Like, there you go.
Period.
Exactly. Exactly. Like,
I also
discuss it. I mean to say, ain't like you can't have a conversation afterwards, but you're gonna comment on the evening. You'll be like, "Yo, it was good." But you do that thing when you're doing that all the time, you know? You might have those short conversations just about the evening. But I think we're gonna lead on to, hey, look at that now, I can bring lunch for you.
No.
You like the chocolate I sent? Oh, I love you, I miss you. No, you're doing that shit. You're gonna hit her up and be like, look at that now. 2 days from now, I gotta charge back up, 2 days later, let me try it again tonight or something like that.
But
You're
you know
What,
what?
busy.
maintenance? So that's exploration. That's not hookup
You
or
know,
maintenance.
but you know what I like
Maintenance.
about this?
Exploration hookup is
Maintenance. All the
It's all
same.
part of the same thing. You're
Well, I thought
exploring
I
with
thought I thought hookup was just hit and go. Just hit and go.
But you know what I like
It's
about
and
this?
run.
I
Go
love
on
the
to the
fact
next
that
time.
women have taken back their power of sorts. They have actually empowered themselves. They're not like, okay, this is our rules, this is what we want to do, and this is what we're gonna live by. It's no more, as I said before, like no walk of shame or anything like that, because this is like it's actually kind of empowering for them to say like this is what I want to do.
This is for both men and women, the empowerment.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it, because like beforehand they'll be like at the mercy of the man. Now it's just like this is what I want. This is what you can bring to the table. That's it. Me want nothing else. Usually women catch feelings. Now it's just like they're telling dudes what we catch. We don't catch feelings. We
Flights,
catch
not
flights.
the
feelings.
flights.
Yeah,
We
Wow.
don't
that's my
catch flights.
niece.
We don't catch
I
flights.
say
We
what?
catch however they go.
All
Period
right.
poop. Okay,
You know.
period poop. I just don't see how. So we talking about in a year's time, we could have how many hookups? Like a female could have
hey, don't
like
put a number to it. Don't
I
put a number
mean,
to it.
that's
I
up to
like I
you.
like math. Well, not really, but don't give me calculus
But
or
but
straight.
Pinky,
But
Kiora just said people don't ask them questions now, so it's whatever you're into and it's
no,
whatever
I'm
you
just I'm
want.
just asking for average, like a woman. If we doing hookup or whatever, I just saying like. So do women feel like no, like okay, let we say in a year's time you hit like let's say 5 hookups. Like a woman to feel like no way about that, like no. Or in a month 5 hookups, no way about that, like no.
Ryan, Ryan is giving it to Kiora.
I
And
don't
again,
think
Kiora, remember, this is generalizing from people
right.
people you hear their conversations.
And I
Is
don't think women really care about those kinds of things nowadays. I think if you scroll through Facebook and look at my generation, women in my generation on Facebook, a lot of the times I'm like, why would you post that? Why does everybody need to know that this is what you do or behind closed doors? Like women are very open about it. And I like the comment Karen said, no counting, they're not counting.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
I have a question though.
Stop
So
counting, Auntie Pinky.
You never, your count never passed two exactly.
I have a question.
wow.
And I guess I kind of have maybe the answer, but at what point, when does the transition happen from coming out of the hookup culture? Does that even happen? When does that trend? So now you want to settle down now. I mean, and this, I guess, Ranchi, this goes back to self-exploration. Now, you know what? I don't want hookup culture. When does that, and does that even happen?
Okay, I would not say that the hookup culture has an end. I would feel it's more like a whole thing in one. Whereas it's just a decision you make for yourself. Like if you actually meet
Well, not
somebody
an
that
end. That's an end for you
the
because
sex
you're getting into a serious and something serious. So that's the end of hookup culture. In for yourself. That's what I'm asking.
yeah, but yeah, well, that's the road you're gonna be looking at, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Men don't
basically
end
hookup
hookup
culture is
culture.
not like this is
What's
like
that? Wait, what's that? Kira said something.
I said men don't end the hookup culture because they get into something serious.
Kira, stop it.
That's that, but
That was a truthful
I
statement.
want you. I want
He
you to
said it'll
elaborate
be
on
in the
that.
long term, but it'll still be in the hookup. Is what,
Yeah,
What are you talking about? Of course we do. What?
but
you
not
see.
women. But not for women. The women them the get in the long term and end the hookup is what you're
I
saying,
think
Kiera.
for women, once we meet somebody that we actually like, we cut off people.
man
That
is
was
doing
the end of the hookup.
You cut off people from the hookup culture. You cut off the whole vibe. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, you
So
cut
white
off
men can't do that.
man is doing too.
because they
Yeah.
don't
Yes.
choose.
Man is
I
doing too. Men does do it too, but men just don't do it like how women does do it.
Oh, interesting. Talk about that.
Oh, but Nicole just agree with Kiora.
But it's
Yeah,
true.
but
It's true.
men does do it, but men does break it down slower than women. Women just cut off from like today to tomorrow. Like
Yes.
you
Black
cannot have it.
everything.
It's true.
That's rough.
Wow.
Like men just take the time and because they ain't no way it's going to really go. So they take the time and they cut out the strings and slowly,
And that's the
slowly.
thing too. And then you see like all of a sudden people's status change, and that's how it works.
But Ranchi, let me ask you a question. Do you have do you have like that one hookup that you just really don't want to get rid of?
That's called maintenance.
Alright, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow.
problem. That's a problem. It does happen. I think it does happen for everybody. Everybody does have that one person, they look to fall back on. Women too. Because I know
So let me ask you this, and Kira, you can answer this too. So if you guys ever had the conversation, I mean, again, this is part of the transition. Have you ever had the conversation where it's like, you know what, no matter what happened, I'm gonna always be, me and you gonna always connect. Have you ever had that? Never happened?
I would say yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
If
Wow.
if I am in a relationship with somebody though, and there may be somebody else that we have that, oh, we gonna always come back to each other, blah blah blah. If me and said person break up, it's very likely that whoever the hookup was that I had that understanding with will be the hookup again.
Interesting.
I think that's how that goes.
You see
For
that?
men, it may be a completely
Well,
different
I
thing.
think the question I was asking is even during
So
the
for men, it
relationship.
would be like how Kiora or Ranchi would have to answer that.
No, if Kiara answer it, she said
You
But
give
my
a current
question was during the relationship, do you still? I mean, you still maybe have ties, but to the hookup, but the hookup, there's no hooking up even during the relationship.
I would say people cheat. So it
Cheating.
would be it would be like a huge lie to say that people don't cheat. People cheat. I've cheated. I messed up in enough relationships. But to say that it won't happen or it doesn't happen, that would be a lie. Like, I think everybody would understand what cheating is.
So it's safe to say based on numbers, because that's how I understand the world. Sorry. Everybody, most people cheat.
Yeah,
So
that's how I see it.
Pinky, let's have the
Oh,
percentage.
did you see what Karen said? Karen said it's called a warranty.
Ish.
What's-
Yeah.
There
A
you go.
warranty-ish. Yeah, yeah. And so it's safe to say most people, over 50%, I would go as far as 90%. Everybody cheating, right? That's just the world we
No,
live in
no,
now.
that's
I know,
not
I
true.
know a
No, that's
percentage. I know a percentage is
that's
coming
not what it
somewhere.
is. That's not
That's
what
not
it is.
true.
I would say you
87
can't say everybody doing it.
of
You can't
men.
say everybody does it.
Yeah,
So
but again,
87% women, Kiora, and 97% men?
No, I said 87% men. I think it's more like 60% women.
but wait. But let me say something though. Cheating means something different for everybody because you might not physically be involved with that person anymore, but because you all have established a connection, you might still be emotionally. And again, cheating is different for different people
Exactly.
because you might have tied things off physically, but you haven't tied it off in terms of staying in touch and being there
So
for
what
that.
does cheating mean to our generation? Let me clarify that.
It
I
depends
think
who you is. It depends really who you is and what it is you believe in.
So is flirting cheating?
For me, everybody flirts. Everybody, how to say it, looks for the how to say it, a little buzz from another person other than the partner. Everybody does that. So
They're
for me,
looking for the
cheating is
possibility of a possibility. Is
no,
that
I
what
not
that
think
is?
it ain't
it
no
depends
possibility.
on the
Everybody
person.
does it. Everybody has somebody that they would flirt with. It's not every day, but they will see this person randomly maybe once a week, and they're gonna do a little flirting.
I
Everybody
think
flirts.
it's a pass by kind of flirting, then it's not cheating. Like if I'm not texting you and like actively flirting with you on a daily thing, I don't think that's cheating. when we walk down the street, people compliment us all the time. You may blush, and that's not cheating. I
Nah,
didn't cheat by blushing.
but even if you're conversating, how
Conversing.
converting?
Conversing.
Conversing?
That was
Oh
instant. Sorry.
English. But if you're conversing, how that makes it cheating? If you're conversing. Kira?
It depends. If this conversation leaves from right here on the sidewalk and continues to text messages and then has the potential to grow into something else, then I think that's cheating.
So
I think
taking a
it's
number. So taking a number is cheating
the
to you.
potential of what it could become.
Taking a number is to you considered cheating because
So
that's
it
a
don't
possibility.
necessarily have
That's
to
a
happen.
possibility. That's a possibility of something happening. That's what you're saying,
Yeah.
Kira.
Yes, if you're not getting this number for something work related, school related, something to help you become a better person, and why are you getting this number?
Bless your heart,
So,
because this is the
so,
state. I don't know what you're talking about. Remember
right.
that post. Bless you, Kira.
So is sexting cheating?
Definitely.
That post was different than what Kiora saying, Luis.
So why is
Well,
sexting
well,
cheating if you're not
in a some
actually doing it?
degree, Pinky.
Because
Remember, it
it's
was about.
sexting. Lucian, stop dating yourself. It's sexting.
Anyway, so Robert
But
Morgan.
Lucian, when you're saying that you're texting someone pictures or it's the verbiage that's being
Sexting.
written,
Sexting.
I know that, but is it pictures you're
The
sending
verbiage.
or is it conversation
The
in the
verbiage.
text?
He says sexting. He didn't say conversationing.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying talking on the phone. I'm saying, are you alluding to just texting words or
The
is it
transfer of an
including
image.
pictures as
Right.
well?
It definitely
But
got to
It's
have an
all
image
the
involved.
same.
But that depends on the person. At the end of the
I
day,
think it has
depends
to
on
have an image involved to be considered sexting.
You would, Louis. You
Brianna
would.
said either one is
of
cheating.
course.
Yeah, that's still
Thank you,
cheating.
Brianna.
It
Thank you,
really
Brianna.
depends on the person. Because
And
somebody
Nicole
might see
too.
it as cheating, somebody might just see it as cheating. Somebody may rate with the physical and consider the physical to be the cheating rather than just text and words.
Right. So, Luis, if your partner, if there's no image, your partner, there is no image, and your partner might be talking about some sexy things, but there's no image, you wouldn't see that as cheating because that's how you view it. It's like Ranchi said.
How could you
It's a
just
step.
make a decision
How I
for
see
me,
it is
Pinky?
a step out.
What are you doing?
You're trying something, but everybody, like I said,
This gonna make
everybody.
you this is good thing for me.
No,
I won't be able to general. I won't say there's a general way to consider that a grounds for cheating, like universal. Everybody have their own way of considering it, looking at it. So
Sure.
yes. I didn't pick you out, Luis. I just said that because Ranchi said it is the individual views of it. That's why I said, and you used the example of no images. So that's why I used you.
No problem. Salute. No problem.
But
But I enjoy an image every now and again, though. So
Robert Moore says now cheating is an insurance, so when you get in an accident breakup, you will still have something to make you whole.
and Marlon said texting on the sly is cheating, and sexting and texting, because they're obviously two different things.
Right.
Right. And
You
exactly.
and you have to delete it because you don't want your other to see it, then that's cheating. If it's something that you wouldn't want your other half to see you discussing with somebody else, that's cheating. You know it's cheating.
That's having a conscience, I guess, and knowing that, like you said, if you got deleted, then there's a possibility there's gonna be an issue.
or is a possibility for you to see it differently than for what it is. Because what are you doing on the phone in the first place?
So again, it's all individual. It's what we have to realize is things have changed so much. Years ago, we had one rule we all follow. Now it's just a whole bunch of rules, and it's based on the individual. There's no one rule in relationships no more. That's how relationship has evolved.
That's
You
yeah,
know?
because that was a problem with it back then. But I think it's just being again slightly could be slightly abused today. I don't know.
So what about like like let's talk about like 'cause, back in the days people were very forgiving and they gave guys like a lot of chances. So do y'all think that y'all are very forgiving when it comes to if you let's suppose like you find your girlfriend sexting Ramsey, would you forgive her? I mean, would that be something that you'll be like, you know what, she mightn't do it again, or you just be, you know what, bump her and just keep that shit moving?
I would just bump it and keep it moving. I wouldn't really.
Men can't handle what they dish out.
That what she saying. That what she say.
But
Everybody do.
I'm hearing,
I wouldn't terminate a relationship over that. That's me.
What
I
about you,
wouldn't.
Kiara?
Probably
Just
not.
as
I
oh,
mean, I am a very forgiving person. I don't think most people in my generation are that forgiving. I feel like women nowadays will quickly drop you and move on to the next.
yeah, because there's always an ex.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Years ago, don't forget if you stepping out, a lady stepping out and sleeping with multiple people, she loses points. Just saying, if you have to put a point on it, she losing points. Every time she sleeps with somebody else, less guys want to be with her. It start to fall off. Today different. Nobody really cares who you sleep with. Once you could do a magic trick, you're good.
Robert just loose tonight. So
I don't know what's
He's on
wrong
a
with him
roll.
tonight.
He is on
I
a
don't
roll.
know what's wrong with him tonight.
Let
I
me
think
read. Let
he
me
had
read.
some
Let me read
coquito
my
before the
guy.
show
Oh my
started.
God, he is on a roll.
He's on a
He's
roll.
loving
But
it.
This
but
is
He's
I
this.
loving
do
it.
I do find like what you were saying, Kiora and Ranchi, even with my kids and their friends, that women in your generation definitely, and again, I don't know if it's the times or if it because there is more access, but definitely in your generation, I feel like there's not a lot of gray. It's either black or white. And if you're doing something that they don't like, there's not a lot of forgiving,
I think
regardless
it
of.
comes with independence. I think women nowadays are a lot more independent, and why keep you around if I could do everything that you can do for me and not stress me out in the process?
So then, but doesn't that like leave like a lot of women like by themselves, especially as they get older?
Hence the divorce rate.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure that has a big part to do with the divorce rate.
And that mindset probably leads to a lot of cheating
Exactly.
because of
Because nobody can
availability.
settle for nothing. Nobody wants to accept
The
anything.
availability
Nobody
of
will
women
fight.
that just increases the chances of cheating because you
Yeah,
got all
because
these women out here that are just not
And I
being
feel like that
honest.
causes men to cheat a
Yeah,
lot more too because
guys,
they are very intimidated by independent women. Like men
You mean
finding
men?
men that are not intimidated by strong women is very hard. And I
I
feel like men will, especially if they're dating a woman that has a status and it may be higher than his, he
I
will
think
go
that's
out
hearsay. That's hearsay. That's
to mess
hearsay.
around.
that's not
that's
hearsay.
Right.
hearsay.
Not
She's telling
That's
you
hearsay.
hearsay.
based on what she experiences in her generation,
I was just
Lucy.
about to say this is
I
definitely
will.
based on our generation.
No,
I
it's
will
not
give
based
that.
on her generation only. It's based on our generation too.
Yeah, I
Strong,
think it's
independent. We have to remember, let's look at the statistics. Okay, let's look in our culture alone. We ain't gonna go all over the
Here we go
wall.
with the
Okay,
numbers. Here
well,
we
I
go with
have
the
to deal with
numbers.
facts. I ain't gonna just come again and stuff without facts. And the best way to get facts is with numbers, right? In
Numbers.
our
Numbers.
generation, in our culture, the black woman is more
Numbers.
educated than the black man, and we are the most single. That's just factual. Like, just look up the statistics.
And
yeah.
wait,
So
But
what
let
was
me
that?
are
let
men
me
are,
say
are men embracing our strongness? Are men embracing the fact that we're more educated, we're more independent, and we could stand on our feet?
No
Obviously
man,
not.
I would say
Where,
Right?
no
where,
man
where, where can
expects
we get
your
this
woman
information from?
to
that's
be
yeah. That's
I
uneducated.
wish I would do some
I,
research and stop
I
harassing me.
wish
You
you would.
know,
I
I
No,
wish
wish
you
a
would
lot.
share where you get
Wait,
that information
we
from.
got everybody,
I
too much
live
people
it.
talking at one time. Go
I
ahead.
honestly would say I don't think no man would want to have the woman uneducated or if she's in a higher position than him in life or whatever. I think it has come to a point where because you're in this higher position, you could spit on me now. In a sense that, oh, I make it more than you, you can't talk to me this way, bye, move from here. I feel it'll come with a disrespect. Most independent women just talk to men differently.
You
They
see?
just talk to their
Because
partner
we don't
differently.
allow you to speak to us the way that you want to speak to us, and we answer
If
back.
if a
Well,
man is
I
disrespectful,
think
I will tell you to answer back and shoot 10,000 words at him. No problem. But even so, you would degrade a man because he making less than you. Right now, women fight for
Yeah.
independence. So are you salaries match us? Are you education matches
I
us?
think men degrade
Must be at the
themselves
same level.
because
If
they
it
look
is
at their
necessary.
women's salary instead
but
of just working on themselves.
but you know what
Yeah,
too?
but it ain't that much of a how to say it. I think we are because you making more than me or you more successful than me that I upset with you. No, a man will be happy for that because at the end of the day, the relationship comes down to teamwork. So it's just
Yep.
basically what you bring to the table. I bring this
Have
to the
you
table.
guys
This is your amount.
dated somebody
This
that's
is
more
your amount.
successful
Put
than you
together.
already?
Pot. This is what we have in a pot. So how we using a pot?
Have you
So
dated somebody that's more successful than you?
Yeah, you're not wrong enough.
So this is
Yeah,
a view. This is the view,
I
right?
don't
And
have
we're
nothing
gonna have
against
we're
it.
gonna
Yeah, we
have
have to
different
do it.
we're gonna have different perspective. That's why I like to deal with just the math. Okay, like we just deal with the facts. Facts is math. Like let's just get the numbers. Okay. Women are more in our culture. I can't talk about nobody else. We are more we and Iron men don't have a problem with it. So a
first of
lot of
all, let
times,
me just say this. Let me just say
That's
this, right?
TV.
This is the God honest truth. When we make a broad
you need to come
statement
and
that
say
I
that.
am Iron Man, that's not true. The main thing about it is this: if you're comfortable with your masculinity, you don't care if your woman making more money than you.
Right.
Because in fact, I'm proud if my woman is doing big things in society. Because
Right.
guess what? It reflects good on me. You understand? The problem comes into play when people don't know how to respect each other. Just because you're making more money than me does not mean that you should let me know at every given point. Well, you know
Right.
what? I'm making more money than you.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Exactly.
You
Right.
understand?
Some
We
women
as
that don't do that.
and that's our problem. You know what I'm saying? If it comes in, wait, what is this? What is this? But
Imani,
what
Millennials,
I'm
Imani is
Oh,
doing
this
that.
this is the switch up.
No, but wait,
yeah,
wait. Let me say something, Lucien. What you were saying, Kiara was saying. Kiara was saying that a lot of times when that shows up, it's insecurity. So
right.
we see it as a man is not happy that his other half is doing really well. But at the end of the day, it really is coming from a different place. It's not that because a man who's confident in himself and who he is, like Ryan Ranchi was saying, doesn't have a problem with that.
Right.
And the woman doesn't either. But she also still remains, both people still remain respectful in the relationship. It's when you're
Yeah.
using that status and that education as a way to dig somebody, that's when there's a problem. And it doesn't, it goes across the border in terms of
You see,
generation. So,
and I,
Generation
and
and gender.
now what? I mean, here we say, Ranchi.
I say go cross the board, generation and gender.
Yeah, and
right.
that's true. But I
Because
Yeah.
think that
men do it as
I
well.
think that I think that the generation before me have more of an
Mhm.
issue with a woman making more money than them. You know what I'm saying? I think my generation too is kind of like, I mean, we cool with it. As long as once again we are being a team, as Ranchi was saying, it has to be a team element. It shouldn't be because then if it was switched around now, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I was about to say, Lucian, how is it when women date men that are more successful? How is that?
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be the same thing. People
exactly.
keep
Yeah,
on forgetting it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. It's about the team.
it's the unit.
You know what
It's
I'm
the
saying?
unit.
If you making six figures and trust and believe, I've dated women like this. I've dated them. I've seen egos. Yeah, it's true.
Um, I-
And I've seen egos and I've seen behavioral patterns. But then when it came down to it, I'm just like, okay, fine. And then I would break it down to them. Do you see how your behavior is? Like how you just said something, and then like if they're mature enough, we can have a conversation about it, so we can bring it to the light, and it's like, okay, how can we stop like being insultive to each other? That's part of it. People have to understand it's a team effort. It don't make a difference
Exactly.
who making more money. you
Yep.
know if we going on a trip, right? If we're going on a trip, right? and you pay for the airfare, right?
So you're going back to that post.
and you pay for the airfare, right? And I,
But
pay for the hotel or whatever. No. I pay for the airfare and you
Airfare.
pay for the hotel. It shouldn't make a difference if I use my points.
right,
Because guess what? The whole thing is the trip was paid for. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Everybody, we're supposed to focus on having fun, not who pay more money and who do this and who do that. You know what I'm saying? It's a team effort. We gotta stop
But what about her checking her emails or what about that?
checking your emails.
Yeah, what about her
That's
checking
what
her
she
emails?
did. The lady. Oh, I don't know,
Well,
Kira, because at the
Exactly,
time
exactly,
it was a
why is she
post.
checking? Why is she checking her emails? I
Wait a
mean,
minute. Wait a minute.
exactly.
Because remember, we are on YouTube. Everybody doesn't know what we're talking about. There was a
oh,
post
it
that
doesn't show in.
someone that I pushed through that said someone was dating for about 8 months and they made this decision to go on a trip. And the guy decided he's going to pay for the airfare and the lady paid for the hotel. While they were on the trip, she happened to go through his emails and realized that he paid for the airfare with points. She paid for the hotel. He paid the airfare was $1,200. She paid $1,100 for the hotel, and she was pissed.
But technically, he did
And
the
so
same.
that created like a whole lot of comments in our Facebook group as a result. So that's kind of what they're talking about right now, because people felt like, well, he didn't pay anything. He did points. He used points. She paid her cash, and he wasn't being forthright about how he was paying for it. And it
Debbie,
But
created
it doesn't make
problems.
a difference. It doesn't
wait,
make a
Debbie, wait.
difference.
I want to read two comments here because it says I can't tell who it is. Maybe Debbie, maybe you can, but it says someone says we love men that are successful. They make great providers. Then someone said, where is it? What's wrong with the
Pinky,
women being great providers?
Pinky said that.
But it's
Pinky,
true.
where's
I mean,
Pinky?
I have
And
no
Cece said
problem.
the other thing.
Let me tell you something,
Wait,
right?
wait. Let me give Imani. Imani, you jumped in, so let me give you an opportunity. What did you want to jump in and say?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Imani for all the viewers. How y'all doing? I was just having a good time commenting. This is a great show. And I just wanted to jump on because obviously I was in the house too. But to touch on a little bit, since we already fast forward a little bit, to touch on the post that you just made, that guy had to do a lot of traveling in order to be able to book both of their flights with his miles. Like, so
Right.
regardless if he didn't put the cash up at that moment, he had to do something in order to have that amount of points in order to travel, So, I mean, first of all, she went in his email. What are you doing in his email?
Trust issues.
Luchas gracias. There you
When
go.
you go looking for something,
Yep.
chances are you will find something, So, so her being upset about the points shouldn't be a problem, because if you think about it, like I book on miles all the time, but I fly a lot too, If you think about it, to go to St. Croix from Texas, one way could cost you one day, it might be 12,000. A next day, it might be 25,000 for one way. So imagine if it was 25,000 one way. So he paid 25,000. He paid 50,000 for both of them. That's 100,000 miles. That's a lot of miles.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. And you could equate miles. If you go on the website, when you're buying the miles, you could equate the miles to cash. So he really and truly could have paid the same amount of money that she paid. He just paid with the miles that he used, that he racked up from traveling and everything like that.
Which makes it smart
Imani,
for the
let me
relationship.
interject.
You got more
I
spending
have
money.
a different view.
Pinky had a different view. Just so
I
you
have
know,
a different view.
let me just say, my view was that there obviously had to have been something else going on in the relationship that she felt she needed to go through his email.
Exactly.
So that was the point I was coming from. Other people, and I think Pinky was one, that felt that it was wrong. because he
He
is
could
the
have
one
gone.
who said he was going to pay for the airfare, and
No
she was going
way.
to pay for the hotel. So he was being tricky about and he wasn't being
Because he
forthright about it.
Honest, yeah.
So
You can't say
people
that
had
no.
different points
That's
of
honestly,
Pinky in
view.
the
You can't say
background
that
there with a
because
little
honestly,
Africa.
you can't say that because
honestly,
he said he going to pay for the airfare, which means he paying for the travel. However, he come to pay for the travel. We
I'm
travel.
sorry.
You paying for the
Mhm.
stay.
I
At
look
the
at
same, if I use my points, now I
it.
got cash that I could actually take you out or do nice things with you while you're on vacation.
Exactly.
So you have to look
That's
at
how you
other
build your
aspects
points.
of that scenario rather than just being so black and white.
Mm-hmm.
I
Kiara,
find
what you
that
I
she
were
was
agree
saying?
with
wrong.
you,
I
Ranchi,
find she
because
was wrong.
some
That's
of
your
the stuff
curiosity.
you'd be saying I don't agree
Wait,
with behind
wait,
the
wait.
doors, but I agree with what you
Kiara,
said.
Kiara had a very good point. Go ahead, Kiara. Speak,
When I
Kiara.
look at a plane ticket that I bought with miles, that's like a free ticket to me. It don't matter how much I travel because I get miles for work. I get miles when I go away for trainings. Like just because I have miles doesn't necessarily mean I spent money to get miles. We don't know what kind of job he had, how frequently he had to travel,
Mm-hmm.
what he did to get these miles. He may have not even paid for his plane tickets.
You know what? You know what? I would like to mute Kiara for a quick second. I don't know what happened.
Does that really matter?
I
You just
think they
switched
could
up
have
on me.
shared the cost of the hotel. And honestly, if I'm planning a trip with you and we discussing how we're gonna cover
Ah,
airfare and hotel, we are
wait.
discussing it
You just
as a
said
whole.
something. You just said something. Discussed. Remember,
And
that
I think
conversation
that is
needed
the issue. I don't. They should
the
have had a
conversation.
discussion that,
There
hey,
you
Mm-hmm.
go.
let's get a tickets, the plane tickets using my miles, and then we could do. Then we could figure out how we're gonna deal with a hotel. I think that
Okay.
is their relationship does not have communication, and I think that is the overall issue. It has nothing to do with whether or not he paid for this or that or what she
Mm-hmm.
paid for. They need to work on their communication skills.
And I
True,
Exactly.
agree.
true,
And I
I
agree.
agree
true,
with that too.
Exactly.
true,
And I
true.
agree.
I
My
didn't
main
I didn't see
problem
it that
was
way.
that she went to the man the man thing. Like
But I'm
really?
saying, Lucian, obviously there was something else going on to make
Right.
her because that email
Even
wasn't the
She
first
just
email.
passed. She just passed.
No, but I'm saying it could be that they, because again, we're just hearing a scenario, we're just hearing a snippet, and we don't even know if this is true. What I'm saying is there had
Them
to be
clean
something
quarter.
else
Them
going
clean
on
quarter.
in the relationship to
Them
make her
clean
feel
quarter
that she
woman.
needed to go in his email.
Yeah, she think that he's
There
still
was
hooking up.
trust issues on some sort of level. Maybe
mm-hmm.
she did feel that he was using miles or he was doing something else that made her even go because she had to snoop going through. It wasn't
She
the
didn't
first
have to
email.
snoop. She just wanted
I'm
to.
saying
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the first email when she opened up his email.
She
So
was
she had
looking for
to look
something.
for, she was looking for something. So they obviously
Mm-hmm.
did have some sort of issues prior to that coming up. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and like I said, one of the things I love about these comments is that it gives everybody an opportunity to see it from so many different perspectives, because again, we're just getting a little snippet of a situation. We don't know the whole facts anyway, but it's interesting to hear other people's dynamic and take. And again, based on your
Amen, Robert.
experience, what do you say? How did
If
she
he
get
was
to
a
pass?
real man, he would have paid for the hotel too.
Yeah.
If you gonna pay for the trip, pay for the trip.
So what happened to the independent woman thing? What happened to
I
that?
mean, if I
That
can
just
pay for
Only when
the
it's
disappeared?
trip, pay
convenient.
for the trip.
Only
Like,
when it's convenient, Lucian.
So that's gone now. The independent woman, like
no,
just make
Only when it's
money.
convenient.
no, not at all.
Only
But
when it's
if
convenient.
you gonna pay for it,
That's
pay
just
for it.
that's just poor planning on both of their parts. Poor planning. Poor planning.
Mm-hmm.
Poor communication.
Poor
Yeah,
communication, no problem. I
definitely.
will accept that. But at the same time, I won't accept the fact that you had to start the argument over that because we reach. It
Enjoy
wasn't
it.
about how much we paying to reach. It was for us to reach. And I cover that. I cover us reaching. You cover us staying.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
The
Was
partnership.
why
Partnership.
why they have to get issue? Why we have to fight now? Why you gonna spend your vacation? Because don't forget that
Exactly.
you take time off for work.
Exactly.
You go on vacation, you're on vacation, and you
You
use
want to
this
ruin the
time now to
vacation.
argue and fight over points.
Pettiness. Pettiness.
I don't think how she went about finding out was right. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that situation that made sense for her to go through his email and do all that extra. But if it did come to light one day that happened, I think I would feel a type of way. I don't think I would cuss you out and leave you, but I would let you know that I felt a type of way about that.
Okay,
And
and I
let me
understand
know
that.
it too.
And
You
I,
send me miles does not equate to my liquid cash because I cannot
but
trade my miles for liquid cash.
well, first of all, let's get
Value.
this
Everything
straight
has
now.
value.
So then now, suppose now, even though he did all that now, he paid for all the meals, he paid for everything else. Then you gonna still want to go and bring that up?
Yep,
No, if you pay
she
for
will.
everything else, then
She will.
that's
She
I
will. For the mere
No.
fact
no,
that she
don't say
paid
he
for
will.
the
'Cause
whole stay,
my
she
the way
will
he
make her
thinking
argument.
already having me pay for the hotel and he used his miles for the airport. It don't sound like or for the tickets. It don't sound like he a big baller and try and pay for everything else.
What do you mean? Yeah,
I
he just bought
know.
a man.
But how did he accrue the miles unless the miles were maybe donated? He
Exactly.
must
There's
spot and then
plenty
listen, let me
of
get
ways
some
you
miles
can
or
make
something.
miles.
But
I
suppose he
had so
didn't.
many miles built up by the time I was 16 and I never spent $1 on not one of them.
Yeah, but you
But
can
you know what?
certain
Yeah,
credit
but
cards allow you to have miles too. So if you're using
mm-hmm.
your credit cards to pay
Right.
all your bills to whatever, I mean, so there's multi, and like she said, his job, he could have been flying a lot, and he gets the miles. So it could be a lot of reasons. But like I said, every situation would be different. I know,
Robert is speaking facts on this, just so you guys know.
I
yeah.
want to what?
What am I about to say?
Robert says,
Stop
stop confusing
confusing
men
men
with
with
boys.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
we have
yeah.
a, we have a lot of conversation. I wanted to, because I know how time goes here. One of the things that we talked about that we wanted to discuss is, do you all have, in again, the millennials, do you all have a conversation as it relates to mental health? Um, because as we know, and again, that's not necessarily a big conversation that we have in the Black and brown communities, but do you all discuss mental health, seeking counseling, people even admitting that they might have some issues, if you're in a relationship or even just amongst yourselves, both for males and for females, if it is in an open discussion about people having mental health issues and addressing them?
I think for women, it's a little bit easier for us to have that discussion and seek counseling. I feel like women are way more open to that type of discussion. I feel like if you tell a man, I think we should go to therapy or you should go to therapy or I think you have issues, I think they look at that as you calling them crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So after like the woman like burns down your car and scratches it up and stuff, at
That's
what point? At what
That's
point do we have a
different.
discussion about mental mental issues?
That's different. I hope if she burning down your car, you running far away from she, because that is some extreme mental health issues right
I'm
there.
just saying because the thing is justified because since you were out there, I'm gonna burn down your this and that, and
No.
women be cheering, they be cheering them on. He deserved it. Yeah, just pushing that like.
Or I got good one or traveling and coming back on January 1, 2000, and then you come home and see that you got pink and black paint pour all over your car.
Well, I
what
mean,
you do.
again, this is not just
It's a
things that are
true
happening
story.
now, because we saw it in Waiting to Exhale. And so it's been, that thing has been happening. But at the end of the day, is there a discussion about honestly seeking an open discussion, honestly
Well,
seeking us help if you need it?
yeah,
Depends on the
that's a true story.
relationship.
That actually happened to me. So yeah,
Listen, we
that
have
was
to ban
crazy.
Robert off of this show.
You are definitely the focal point for him tonight.
He we're gonna have to ban him. He has
Wow.
done it, the
Wow.
man.
But so Kira, you and Imani also included in this conversation. So
Mhm.
so you feel that the young ladies in your generation are more open and actually are seeking counseling and again, counseling is different for everybody.
Mhm.
Counseling could be actually going and having a conversation with a mental health professional. It could be seeking information, learning about yourself, learning about anger issues and all that kind of stuff through YouTube and books and whatever. But do you actually see people actually seeking it? Because to me, you hear these stories of girls doing some crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Are they really seeking help? And the same
I
thing for men.
I would say
Yeah,
for
I still
me,
haven't got nobody pain. Go ahead. Sorry.
I say for me, when I was a little younger, like mental health was not something that I definitely looked into. I think for me growing up, it was like, you know, I love my parents, but it was like seek God for everything, and which I am. I believe that I seek Him and everything like that. But sometimes you need to talk to some people, and in my life, it wasn't. I was never a depressed person until I became a mother.
Mm.
And when I became, I at first like I did not want to seek help. I was like, I didn't know what to do, but it was a change that I really didn't know what I was going to experience. And in turn, I end up having to like go and get help. I know for me, I'm more open to doing counseling, but I know someone else who I previously was in a relationship, they was like, no, what I need to go to speak to someone about my emotions for. I noticed that a lot of American black men or black men in general, they're not open to talking about their feelings to therapists. They're not into mental health, wellness, and things of that nature. So yes, I believe that females are more open to it. But I do have friends who are in relationships, who are married, and they seek counseling. And so it's a beautiful thing to see them. They seek counseling for themselves. They seek counseling together, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Because the relationships that they don't last as long as the relationships that I do see
So,
that seeking that counseling.
Imani, so
hmm
is that like, do you think that millennials like embrace that more than the older generation?
I think we embrace it more now. And that's is with the time where you're more open to hearing about counseling. You always have you see the ads on TV, if you on TV or even on Facebook. You may a lot of people may not have cable anymore, and you scrolling, and the next thing, I feel like the phones will be listening to us
They
because
do. They do.
you searching something that you didn't search, and then it's like, oh, um counseling for millennials. Like I have a friend that attended, actually she's a soror. She started this, she's a counselor, and they started this
Feedback.
website, Black Millennials Mental Health.org. It's bmmm.org. And you could go on there, you could do a little 20-minute session with a counselor, and it's targeted to
Imani,
millennials.
Imani, move your phone from so close to your computer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's targeted to millennial. Is that better?
Yes, go ahead.
It's targeted to millennials.
Hold
Maybe
on,
it's
kind
my
of.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
more feedback.
There's a feedback.
Your mic is too close to something. Talk, let me see.
Is this better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it
Yeah.
probably was my watch. So yeah, there I see more millennials open to mental health awareness. And then I've never seen so many depressed people until I went to college. I'm like, everybody was walking around depressed. They all on anxiety medications and stuff like that. So if they're on anxiety medicine, they gotta be seeking mental health. Oh, I gotta take my Xanax. You know,
Wow.
I
Wow.
seen that a lot.
And
Availability of
you experienced
information.
that in a HBCU?
Yes.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
I people that's close and dear to me, like they would not show up because their anxiety is high. So they're gonna pop their whatever pills they got and probably smoke a little something on the side because their anxiety has always been high. And this is like from high school. I definitely didn't have those problems when I was younger. They come to college with those problems. They come to college seeking popping pills and seeking therapy, because they go
Wow.
on through a lot. So I definitely seen that, and I was shocked. Like I said,
Wow.
for me, my depression and stuff didn't start until like 2015. I had already been in college over 5 years. I was
So
living my
how
life
did
having fun.
so what was your experience with that same mental health thing and your campus, Kiara?
I mean, actually, my campus did a whole wellness week, the
Mhm.
week before finals. Like they would bring in masseuse, they would give free
Mhm.
massages in the student center. They had therapists. You could come in and go and talk to a counselor, or like they had a whole wellness week the week
Mhm.
before finals because they just knew people were stressing about finals. The library would be open all night
Mhm.
for Women's week, and downstairs of the library they would be giving massages, and like
Wow.
We had
people
that too.
to talk to if you needed to. And yeah, I
Mm.
think the difference between the generation before and our generation now is how available the information is. I mean, the
Mhm.
older generation, you feeling depressed, you go and talk to your parents about it. And I mean, I think all of us can say your parents, they weren't necessarily the most accepting of that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Now you feel that type of way, you don't have to talk to your parents about it. You could go online and look up whatever. You could
Mhm.
go on Facebook and vent to whomever. I
Chat
feel like
room.
finding the information is a lot easier now than it was before. And there's not a bunch of people telling you crazy for feeling how you feel. Like it's more accepted, and people are actually talking about how this is a problem and it's okay to feel this way and what you should do. And I don't think that was something that was really talked about back then.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
I hit that up because sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna ask Ranchi the same question. Like,
Right.
okay, you went to school, like you went to college, Ranchi, or you went, I don't know what you did.
No,
Okay. So what about
I
high
want
school then?
sorry.
What about high school? Did you experience something like that in high school or when you first graduated amongst your peers?
IT? No, we people ain't had that problem. The way I used
So,
to talk about it, like,
but do you see guys or hear guys talking about, like, they got anger issues, or they got like issues, like issues that making them act out in any kind of way, and actually seeking help or talking to people about it, or it's just they just go about their day?
if I think they usually just go about the day. I don't think nobody does openly discuss those things here,
Mhm.
saying that they seeking help for this or they seeking help for whatever they're going through. I don't see that happen. No, that don't happen. I mean, you could pick up on some of it. Depends. Like I come out of the
Mhm.
medical field, so you could like pick up on some of it from the behavioral aspect.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
watching
Mhm.
them, hearing how they speak, how they act. You could see it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
again, I think for you, because both from basically what Kiora and Imani are saying, they went away to school
Yeah.
and they experienced people from away. Whereas
yeah,
you are coming on it, growing up on an island, again, there's a cultural norm, there's a cultural acceptance, there's a conversation that doesn't happen. I mean, like I
Mhm.
remember working, I won't say too much, but when I was working at home, I had an employee that was, everybody used to say they're crazy. And it was just like thrown around. But that person really had a mental health issue. You know what I'm saying? But it was just people would make that comment and just leave it at that. And the solution to the problem was move them from department to department to department,
Mm.
and that followed
No
them, but
help.
nobody ever really addressed the mental health
that has
issue. You
happened.
know what I'm
That
saying?
has
And I
happened
think
here
it's
too.
a cultural
right.
thing as well.
Yeah,
And
that
I
has
Mhm.
wanted to
happened
touch on
here.
that, Debbie, because even with the daily stresses of life, your employers now, there's insurance company now have these assistance program
Yeah.
that it was never really discussed before, but now employers are now seeing this, so you can actually go get time, still get paid, and insurance companies are covering it. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
look at where you're employed, they have these, they call it EAP programs,
EAP.
employee assistant programs, and you just go and you have the discussions, you know what I mean,
I
because
take
people
advantage
need
of
that.
it.
Pardon me?
Yes,
Yeah,
you know,
because
I take
it could be
advantage
anything
of it.
from anything, it could be a natural disaster or even the pandemic right now. I mean, these are things that things that are not normal, and you need a coping mechanism or whatever it is you need to do somebody to talk to. You have these programs in place, so it's very beneficial for folks to take advantage of that.
You know what, Louis? Piggybacking on what you're saying, these programs only became available when people started shooting up businesses. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It was like it was not even heard
Good
of
point.
before.
Good point. That's yeah. Good
Like,
point.
you know what I'm saying? All these mass murders. Then all of a sudden now they're like, okay, let's try to help these people. Beforehand, when people were having breakdowns and committing suicide, it wasn't an issue. But until they start killing their co-workers and going to school and shutting it up, then like,
And
okay, let's have
telling
this
students.
discussion. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let's have this
Yeah.
discussion now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they're actually taking steps to preventative
Initiatives.
measures.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But at the same token, sometimes it's too little too late, yo.
Well, the bigger picture too. Remember, it affects productivity. So
Right.
know that it's not just them like they're caring, but it affects the company and it affects what they have going on as well. If they can't come and produce, then of course that's an issue. So the companies are now paying more attention because it's a big picture. You know what I mean? Altogether.
True.
Right.
True.
We got
Norman
all
was
serious all of a sudden.
huh?
Huh?
I said we got all serious.
I know,
Yes.
right?
No, but let me
Yeah,
say
we're
though.
all
But
of a
another
sudden.
thing is, so I still have a problem with pink and black paint. Every place I go, I can't deal with pink and
Well,
black
maybe
paint.
you need to seek
Again,
some.
Wow.
I might need to go and talk to somebody. I
Yeah,
still
I
don't know
think
who did it.
so. Because that trauma has still affected you till today.
It still does. Yes.
I'm sorry that happened to
I,
you.
I don't know who
That's
did it.
trifling.
I always had an idea, but she always denied. I know she watched it.
um, I wanted to also talk about, quickly touch on the fact that I think growing up, in terms of how, especially how women acted, and what was expected from men, was because to me, religion played a big role
It
in
did.
dating, in relationships, and everything. How does religion or spirituality, or however everybody calls it now, how does it play a role in relationships, and just how you're viewed? I'm gonna start with Ronchi.
Ooh, start with somebody else. You got to process that.
I got one on that.
Okay, go
So
ahead, Yvonne.
I remember when I was 16, like I said, my parents are strong in the church. They're deacons and deaconess. They had, I think it was like a few weeks after I turned 16, they had a purity ceremony. And I did not want to be a part of the purity ceremony. Not because at that age I was doing anything, but I felt like that was forced upon me. I did not, and I mean, I did not want to be a part of this purity ceremony, like, period. And, so I did it because, my mother is a crybaby, and sorry, mommy, I love you. I do it because she was crying, and I was like, okay. But at the same time, it was like vowing to never have sex till you married. Look at me. I have a baby. Obviously, I'm not the Virgin Mary. Like, I knew, like, at 16, I knew that this not was something that I did not personally want on myself, and it was the church. It was the church and what they perceive I should do. And I was like, I know, Mom, I wasn't forcing you to do these kind of things when you were 16. So why are you forcing me to do it?
There you go.
I was so distraught. And I was like, okay, I just had a sweet 16. And, we had to wear like wedding gowns and all kind of stuff. It was traumatizing. I used to wear a purity ring that my father buy in the Bahamas that I lost somewhere at school on my wedding finger. And I was traumatized. Like, I was traumatized. And they buy a next one back. It's somewhere in my jewelry box. I don't even wear it anymore because I'm far from there, But it was traumatizing. The church had a lot to do with it. And I was like, I felt like at that age, I didn't have a say so. Not saying I was doing anything. Trust me, I wasn't. But I did not want to be a part of that. I just feel like mentally and spiritually, I wasn't there.
So let me
Spiritually, I wasn't there.
So let me ask the ladies on the ladies and gentlemen, about like, do you think that y'all are more into other religious things? Or are you more still looking at Christianity as your main base of faith?
Christianity is my main base, but I'm not a brick and mortar type. Um, am I echoing again?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
echoing again.
I don't know why. I don't know why. How about now? Christianity
Yeah.
is the base of
That's
my
better.
religion, but I'm not going to a physical church house. I am dealing with my spirituality on my own. I guess I haven't found that home of worship, but yeah. I explore other things. I'm open to it. I think when I was working on my master's, we had a class that we had to do where we had to go to a culture. It was a cultural education class, and we had to go to a different place of worship and write a paper about it. And even though Mormonism is kind of still a little close to Christianity, a little bit, I chose to go there to see what their differences were and stuff like that. So yeah, I still believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, hallelujah, but I'm not going to a church house yet. Blame
Okay.
it on the
What about
pandemic,
you? What about
but
you,
I
Ramsey?
ain't going.
I believe in the church. Family was strong church people growing up. But when it comes to relationships, I won't say that I use the church to define what my relationships or relations would be with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand the Ten Commandments. So
That's
like,
how you.
see some stuff there. But I don't use the Bible to define my relationship. Yes, I'm not, how to say, I am religious in a way where the how to say the rules apply
Right.
to your relationship and your marriage and stuff like that. But I'm not putting my head on a block with the Bible like that.
And,
Well, Kiara looks like she has a lot to say.
Yes, you have a lot to say.
Kiara,
Uh, I don't think my mom is watching tonight. Sorry, mom. I don't know if you guys know my father all too well, but I am not a fan of religion. Let me not say that. I have studied a plethora of religions. I have taken multiple classes just on the history of religion and where they root from. And I find religion fascinating, as you would a story book as a child. But I am not a fan of religion. I am a scientist. And I'm sorry, but religion and science do not really hold hands together.
Mm-hmm.
I would not say that I am an atheist. I believe in a higher energy. However, I do not I I do not find the need to go to church. We've had the times where my mother is like, "Oh, it's whatever day, let's go to church." I'm gonna go clean the beach. I think what I'm doing
That's more
is more
important.
important than what you're doing. I am that kind of person. So, in a relationship, I mean, I can respect that you have your religious beliefs. I've studied religion. I think they're interesting. I like that people, find something to believe in and that they hold that to themselves. Once we can have the agreement that or understanding that, I'm not going to church with you. Not.
so
mm,
you
And
know
as
what's so
far as raising kids,
Mm-hmm.
I am a strong believer in letting people choose what they want to be and want to do
Yeah.
with their lives. Give your child the freedom to select whatever they want to do. I think baptizing a child at the age of nothing, they have no idea what they just did. They don't understand the meaning of it. What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
let them make that decision for themselves, that's when it would be more meaningful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's something that they're into, then hey, you do your religious thing. I ain't gonna, because you gonna watch me with my crystals and think that I'm crazy.
Very well said.
Wow.
I think I think that has to do a lot too with the rise of independent women. I think that the more independent women come away from traditional religious beliefs, is the more that they see how much the church actually held them back in the day. I'm just saying it. I mean, don't crucify me, but it's everything is worship your husband, this and that. Your husband is very it's very masculine based. You know what I'm saying? Whereas it's not like giving women. It should have been like an equally plateaued thing. And I'm just like, okay, fine, I can understand that. But unfortunately, it's not that way.
Wives,
Especially
honor your husband.
yeah,
Honor your man.
honor your husband, honoring your wife. You know what I'm
If you
saying?
need religion to tell you to be a good person, I think that's where I have a problem with it. Like you should just
Exactly.
want to be a good person. You shouldn't feel like you need to be a good person because God is watching or you might go to hell or what have you. You should just want to be a good person.
I want to take it back to what we spoke about earlier in this conversation about other cultures, because a lot of cultures and their marriages are religious based.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that, and Pinky mentioned how they're more, Pinky with her numbers, talk about how the percentages are higher than others. So, how does that culturally now play a role in your mind, Kira? Give me some sort of an example as what you believe because of culturally how things are over there as opposed to our cultures here locally, and of course, mainland culture. How do you feel about that?
I mean, with respect to what exactly? Like the arranged marriage thing?
The arranged marriage, yeah, we talked about that. Remember, we mentioned that earlier in the conversation. So, and that
Mm-hmm.
those are heavily religious.
Mm-hmm.
Those are based on religion. So, what's your take on that?
I mean, they're based on religion
Because remember, you said that you believe in somebody having their
Yeah.
own ideas and developing their own
right.
beliefs, and I respect that. Don't get me wrong; they don't get a chance to.
Well, I think some people do.
I mean, on the
Yes,
other
there are
cultures,
areas of the world where you are not allowed to make those decisions for yourself,
right?
and that is the culture over there. And I, I don't think that's right. I mean, we're humans; we should be able to think for ourselves and make decisions for ourselves. That's the only way you can grow as a person. If
Right.
somebody continuously makes decisions for you, then how do you ever expect to grow mentally?
That's a culture, though. It's what you brought up in and what you brought up around.
And that's
They don't
essentially,
know
yeah,
that they're doing wrong. Technically,
Right.
they don't know what's right or wrong from what they're doing compared to you. They're
Right.
just comparing
That's
religion and
true.
comparing
And if
ideas.
you, yeah, exactly. If you
A
never
lot of
get exposure to that, how can you miss something that you're
That you
never
you're
never
not
had.
exposed?
exposed to.
Exactly.
right,
That's what I was exactly what I was just gonna say. Chances are in those, and also in those countries, they have a lot of blockage as to what they can see, what they can't see. Here in America, in the Caribbean, it's free range. We seeing everything. We experiencing everything. If they don't know no better, how they can they do better? But you do see some who are like, no, this is not for me, and they get away. And then look what happens. They get
right,
disowned from their family. Some
right,
people like, okay, I want to be free.
right.
Disown me if you have to, but I am going to be free because what you are imposing on me, I don't want.
Excellent, excellent. America, the land of the free and all the choices, right?
Yep.
Of
Hmm.
course,
Um,
of course.
you
That's a
Somewhat,
blessing and a curse
somewhat,
Some
too.
choices.
yeah,
somewhat.
What's that?
I
somewhat.
said somewhat. And that's not. Yeah, no, somewhat.
No, with
Um,
Because
with regards to what we're talking about.
Hmm.
I hate to do this, but it is that hour, that time. Again, this conversation was amazing, and we will have more. I've said it before because at the end of the day, this community, these conversations is not about my generation. This is about the generations to come
Hmm.
and having these open dialogues with men and women in our community. And we will continue to have them. And I want to again applaud and thank you all for coming on because I just want people to know I asked many people to come on, and not everybody is willing to do it. So I want to thank you all publicly for being open and honest and giving your perspective, because again, everything, nobody here is a professional. This is about people's experiences, and so it just gives us an opportunity to have the conversation that we don't always have in our community. So I want to thank you guys. I definitely want to thank our audience, those on YouTube as well as in our Facebook group, for commenting, for being involved in this conversation. And again, I hope this doesn't stay here and it goes out and people have the conversation and it opens dialogue. And I just want to thank everybody. Again, I want everybody to please stay safe. Continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we know things can go wrong on the Facebook platform. So please encourage your friends and family, especially those, everybody, but those who are not on Facebook, to subscribe and like our Love and Enlightenment USVI YouTube channel. And for those in the group, continue to invite your friends and family, especially the millennials and Generation Y, so we can have more of these conversations. Is Z. Sorry.
Z is
Z. So continue to invite your friends and family to have, to participate in these conversations. We meet every Thursday night and we go live. And again, I just want to thank everybody. Please be safe. And anybody else want to say anything before we sign out?
I would like to thank you, Robert Moorhead, for making my evening so entertaining.
I think his last comment needs to be read out loud.
I didn't think so.
Oh my God!
So much,
As always, we just want to thank everyone, of course,
Good night,
for
everyone.
Prachi and Imani. Thank you for coming in. And as always, want to wish everyone good things, great things, and beautiful things.
Really, Louis? Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Pinky, even wishing you even the same. How about that?
There we go.
Take
Have a
care.
good night, all, and thank you.
All right, guys. Good night.